another episode of Talking Pictures Podcast. I'm your host David, and joining with me, as always, my co-host Brian. Brian, how are you?
David, thank you for having me.
No problem at all. Thank you for joining me, as you always do. I don't know why you said it like that. We're here today not to talk about any one particular movie. We're here to actually answer a fan question. So, as you know, every week we ask you guys to send in your comments or emails in just to ask us questions that you'd like to hear us talk about. So,
any curiosities, really, if you just want to shoot them on in, we will literally go through every question and we will probably answer every question.
Yeah.
So, David, who's asked us a question?
So, our first question that we're going to talk about today is from Shane Byrne, who sends in the question: is the MCU on a troubling downturn in terms of quality, or are people just sick of the same Marvel formula? First of all, I want to say thanks very much, Shane. Appreciate the engagement. So, we're going to spend this episode kind of talking about that. So, Brian, what do you think? Yes? No? Maybe so?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. So I kind of agree that I suppose the question kind of has two parts here. Is the MCU on a downturn in terms of quality, or are people just sick of the same Marvel formula? I would say yes, people are sick of the same Marvel formula, but no, they're not in a downturn. I think that we're in a little bit of a lull at the minute in terms of stuff, but as we move on through the upcoming slate of films, we're going to see a big, I think, resurgence in these films. What do you think?
I think that resurgence needs to happen, just like Professor Hulk needs to go and Hulk needs to come back. Mm-hmm. If Hulk comes back, maybe that can be a literal embodiment of the MCU returning to form. Now, when I say, and thank you for agreeing with me, because our way is the right way, Marvel is not spiraling downward into lackluster, because it's still the MCU and it is still filled with all these multi-divisive cast of characters displayed and portrayed across from many different thematic movies. You got heist movies, you got supernatural movies, you got space opera movies, you got political, war, espionage, thriller movies, you got sci-fi movies, you got action movies, you got majestic movies. You just keep going and going and going. Okay? And agreeably so, that's what Marvel's always done. They've always introduced a good character and then they will return in their final credit caption. And my history with Marvel, it's like time pauses when a Marvel movie comes out. And that's the way it's sort of always been. Doesn't matter if we got an odd Iron Man 2 or even a Captain Marvel to just give you a sense of the time scale of how long the MCU has been around. Mm-hmm. You know, not every movie's great, but sometimes you get a climactic movie. I think naturally more Avengers members in the movie, the better, like a Thor Ragnarok or a Captain America Civil War, or essentially an Avengers movie. Time stops. Everyone goes out to see them, and it's the next evolutionary chapter of the MCU progressing. Like, we saw Endgame. Remember that in the cinema?
Yeah.
Like that.
It's hard to.
That was a closing chapter, but also somewhat a beginning chapter. I didn't want it to end then and there. Of course, I didn't want it to end. Keep it going and don't reboot it. No. Don't reboot it. Keep it going. But Phase 4, I think it's struggled for many reasons.
I think one of those reasons is probably because of how big Endgame was. I think that a lot of criticisms that Phase 4 had was that there's no direction, that there's no what are we leading to or anything like that.
There's definitely that. And I do remember there was a time we were living through, we're all leading up to Thanos. Mm-hmm. I remember thinking back in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Ego was so powerful. Even watching the movie itself, all I can imagine is Thanos is just going to step in and fix this and correct this. That didn't happen, but the fact remains that we were all gearing our view towards the Endgame, which is the fourth Avengers movie. And
they built that up over 10 years.
Pretty much.
Do you know, it was from Iron Man 2008. You know, that's as of recording this episode,
Yeah.
that's 15 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a long time to be in the game.
We're a few years now into phase 4, and
Phase 5 now, technically.
Oh,
You've
yeah,
entered phase 5. But
okay, so so that's right. See how passive and seamless it is, because there's no phasal direction. There's no strive. There's no leader. No, not leader in the sense of Captain America or leader in the sense of Iron Man, because Robbie Downey Jr. is the face of the MCU. He's the main actor of the MCU.
And he was from the beginning, starting out with Iron Man.
And Captain America is the leader of the Avengers. That was good to have. Not only can you not say who's the leader of the Avengers now, but who is it that can lead a franchise, a universal, multi-dimensional franchise, and who is going to be the face of the MCU? I can't think of anyone right now, especially where they are status-wise.
Yeah, and they're in such a different place now than when they were back then. Like phase one really was building towards the Avengers.
Yeah.
And that's all I think phase 1 was. Phase 1 was building. It didn't even feel like they were building. It just like was these individual movies that had such a small amount of connection throughout. Like realistically, when we first started, the only connection was Phil Coulson.
And Nick Fury too.
Nick Fury, yeah. So those, and then that led to Avengers. And then at the end of Avengers, you get this tease of Thanos, and it's like, oh, maybe there's more to this. And then it kept going.
Yeah.
Whereas now, after we've had Infinity War and Endgame, these monumental movies, you know, 2 of the highest grossing movies of all time, that's a culmination of 10 years of storytelling. Now, it just feels like a little bit of a plateau. Yeah. And people want almost every movie to be Avengers Endgame, and they want these big, huge movies as opposed to the individual stories.
Well, you see, Shang-Chi wasn't an Avengers movie, and I thought that was good. Spider-Man No Way Home was not one, and that was that was quite Avengers level type of movie.
Yeah, exactly. But
for specifically for Spider-Man, rather than the MCU, because it's still a Sony movie at the end of the day. But there's actually no Avengers movie in this phase, actually. So there you go. There's one thing that I actually didn't notice until just now.
Each one previously kind of was capped off. We had Avengers, you had Age of Ultron, and then Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
But this was the first one with no Avengers in it.
We done a couple of introduction of some characters, and it's just the roster is so big now. It's like, do you see the likes of someone from Echo herself, or Agatha Harkness, or oh god, who the hell else? She-Hulk? Like, you should see my face right now. She-Hulk equals stupid. I don't like being a hater, but come on, Wong getting She-Hulk to sue this guy because he's using magic, dude. No.
I actually haven't seen She-Hulk yet, so I can't speak to it. But I saw someone kind of compare the way the MCU is now to actual comic books, in that there's such a variety of stuff out there. You don't actually have to watch everything. The same way that if you were reading the comic books, you wouldn't read every single comic book that came out. It's like, if She-Hulk isn't your taste, don't watch it. It's fine. And it probably won't have that big of an impact.
I most certainly hope not.
The same way that, you know, if you don't want to watch Moon Knight, then that's fine. But then you cannot watch Moon Knight.
But then that's another thing. Moon Knight, where is he coming back from? Number 2, like, you saw Moon Knight, didn't you?
No,
you didn't.
No.
Well, let's just say, no spoilers, of course, for you, David. But it's like, I wholeheartedly cannot answer you when to expect to see him again. Alright, it's a good show. It's not the best. Few things I would have liked different here or there, and it also feeds into Disney Plus being very short in episodes. Come on, like, what the hell? They're not event TV anymore. Disney Plus shows, they're not. They're too short. They're not. Go HBO, but Disney Plus, pay attention. That aside, we're introduced to so many characters. Like we started getting real odd side quest of continuations in that of WandaVision and Loki and Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Hawkeye. These are like deviations from the straightforward train track, going on their own solo journeys before venturing back in the end of what would be the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. But it's just gotten very out of control when it comes to, okay, we're getting an Echo from Hawkeye, we're getting an Agatha Harkness, we got Moon Knight, and we got Miss Marvel, and we got She-Hulk. As I said, I don't know what's the status of Moon Knight. She-Hulk, and then Miss Marvel. Okay, we're gonna get her in the Marvels. Okay, great. At least that's a continuation that's gonna come forward. Because we did our review and talk on Ant-Man Quantumania, we might have I mentioned that I feel a little bit fatigued when it comes to now Marvel. It's like I expect this from DC, but Marvel, the MCU, what? You freeze time. What are you talking about?
It doesn't have the same magic that it used to for you.
Dave, I'll tell you now, the MCU has lost its magic. In my opinion.
And is that because it's so big? Is that because there's so many things coming out?
I think it's a multitude of things. I've already spoken about some already. It is too big. There's no clear direction. There's no face of the MCU. I can watch a Thor movie, or I can watch an Ant-Man movie, or I can watch whatever movie and know Iron Man is the face and Captain America is the leader. I can't do that now. It's too discombobulated. It's too disjointed. It has 3 arms and no legs. Like, it's gonna lead up to Kang Dynasty, but what about everything else you're giving us? I don't know how I feel about getting something to have to watch it and have be of no consequences, aka maybe Echo. Now, I haven't seen Echo, who knows, maybe that'll be great. But even Daredevil, I feel content not watching the Netflix series. I'm happy to just watch Daredevil Born Again to be it as that. But are you gonna bring him into the, I suppose, Avengers movies? Are you gonna cross over a bunch of characters into another movie like they did in Civil War? I'm looking forward to Secret Invasion because that has a Rhodey in it. That has what's Martin Freeman's name from Black Panther movies?
He's
Everett Ross.
Everett Ross, yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna be in it. And then Nick Fury is the lead, and a few other new faces, and Kalos, Ben Mendelsohn, he's going to be in it. So that looks like to be a good crossing over of primary realms of different movies. You know, there was a time where you watch Hawkeye in Thor 1, and that's like, see? Like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme.
Yeah.
Saying, oh, right there, you know? And then you got that again, and across from other phases of 1, 2, and 3, like Doctor Strange in Thor 3, and Bruce Banner in Iron Man 3 post-credit scene, and you got a little bit of that at the end of Shang-Chi as well. You saw Shang-Chi, didn't you? Yeah, with Captain Marvel and Bruce Banner, and then a bit of Wong. Wong's been appearing in a few places. And
maybe Wong's the face of the MCU.
Yeah, but he's too C-list character, if anything. You know, he's a supporting character to what was a supporting character in that of Doctor Strange. But you know, when they say who's the face, like, is it Doctor Strange? Maybe he can be one of two, but who's the other? Captain Marvel? I don't care about Captain Marvel because I've not seen much of her yet. I need to like her. I need to spend time with her. I need to feel happy and sad for her. I remember thinking this one time in Iron Man 2. This is the build up to Avengers in 2012. And all these talks that Iron Man's gonna die, and like there's this wide shot of Tony Stark throwing up this Iron Man picture in the corner of his laboratory, and like just the way Robert Downey Jr. was playing it, and I was thinking, he can't die. There's no way he can't die. That little scene made me think so much about what my expectations on a character like Iron Man. Now, I was young, and we were nowhere near Endgame yet, so I think it's just getting very too big, and Loki really did expand on that. and I liked Loki a lot. I love Loki as a character, I really do, and I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. I'm not even going to talk about Deadpool 3. Is that an MCU? No, it's just a Deadpool movie. Almost akin to how I view now is James Gunn's Guardians movie. I feel like I'm fatigued. If superhero movies continue down this way, or say reviews don't go so well for the Marvels, I'm sorry, I'm going to wait for Disney Plus. I'm not going to go out to the cinema to see it.
I think,
and I just want to finish by saying James Gunn is a James Gunn film, not a Marvel movie. Therefore, I am so excited for the Guardians Volume 3. And, it's all about him saying that this is the last time we'll see this version of the theme. Or maybe we'll see the characters again, but in different movies and crossing over. And there's some characters is probably going to be their final appearances. And it's so... The trailers got me as well, and I've always loved the Guardians, and the Guardians they were the shit. And so I'm very much looking forward to that. And I do like a good ragtag ensemble cast of characters as well. And James Gunn is good. It's like it's like Marvel is. It's like I agree. Marvel fans are getting sick of what Marvel is doing, but maybe I acknowledge there's a bit of hope for Guardians 3. But Jesus God, man, if that does not be good, then I don't know how to feel. Yeah, so the MCU, in my opinion, has lost its magic. It's very messy in the sense that if a character pops up and it's like, oh, okay, when did I last see you, or when should I remember you from, or oh yeah, just too messy now. It's like you're trying to read a book, but there's too much things on your mind, and you just can't keep up. It's too You were about to...
Well, I was just going to expand there on what you said, that maybe it is specifically on what you were saying there about like Captain Marvel. It's difficult when it's such a big roster of characters that you do go a long time without seeing certain people, and so the gravity of them is lost. Because how many times have we seen Captain Marvel?
I can't answer that.
I think it's twice. We've seen her, like I suppose as a main character.
Are you talking about post-credit scenes as well?
No, I would say actual, like, as a character, and it's twice, which is Captain Marvel and Endgame.
Endgame was quite short.
Yeah, Endgame was like an extended cameo almost. So Captain Marvel, her main film was 2018? 2019?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, early 2019. So that's 4 years since we've seen her as a main character. So it's difficult to feel like, she is the most powerful character in the MCU.
Oh no, to me it's Thor.
I think they've come out and said that she is the most powerful. But when you haven't seen her for 4 years, and even at that, like, her original film was mixed reviews as well. Like, she's a mixed kind of character in terms of reception.
Well, the way I say Thor is the most powerful because, we've not seen her do so much. Like, I'm sorry, but if I just watch a movie now and think Captain Marvel or Thor, who's gonna win that fight? Like, she will put up a good fight, but I think Thor will win. If you want to say she's the most powerful, show me. Don't say and not do.
And even with Doctor Strange,
who I thought should be one of the most high caliber, powerful characters of ever. Doctor Strange is actually my Tony Stark Iron Man right off the era so far. I'm almost looking at Doctor Strange as a pinnacle point of reference when narrowing down the direction of the MCU. Then again, his last movie wasn't all that great either, and he struggled to fight against Wanda Maximoff. I take it back. Wanda Maximoff is the most powerful. She's the most powerful. Correction.
The time between Doctor Strange, the original, and his sequel, Multiverse of Madness,
2016
to 2022.
Yeah,
that's 6 years. We had now he did appear in Infinity War and Endgame and all those, but from initial to sequel is 6 years. In that time, we got an entire Spider-Man trilogy. We got Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home. All three of those movies came out between Doctor Strange.
Well, yes, they really did fast track those movies, and I remember thinking throughout the entirety of 2021, we're not getting a Spider-Man movie this year. What you on about with us? No way. We're not getting a movie at the end of it. What? We are? Huh? oh, and it was a highlight. It was a fun movie. Like it's actually of its own movie. I think like you can pull it out. You can pull the Spider-Man trilogy out and just watch that without feeling the need to watch the MCU. You need to be aware of it, but yeah,
you could get away without it.
yeah, like it's very enjoyable.
So like to have Doctor Strange, who is a big part of this, multiverse saga.
Yeah.
That he in himself isn't getting as much screen time. I think they're dedicating a lot of time to the smaller characters who won't play as big of a role in these bigger events.
And who do you think these characters are?
That are getting the smaller.
Yeah, who do you think they're focusing on a lot now?
They're focusing a lot on like. See, it's a hard question to answer because
the reason I think it's a hard question to answer is because there's so many and there's so much space and gap in between.
Yeah.
Like, okay. We got the Eternals. We're getting a Blade. We're getting a Thunderbolts. I'm sorry. What we're getting a Deadpool as part of the MCU, and then we got a Black Panther minus the Black Panther. That's actually put a bit of a sore taste in my mouth because Sherry's not Black Panther in my opinion. Yeah. They can do what they want. I didn't write the movie, but Lupita Nyong'o should have been Black Panther. But yeah, look, you know my opinion on Ant-Man. Ant-Man was he's sort of a pivotal character himself, but standing up against Kang, and then still be played off as mediocre and not fulfill your character arc that you, by the look of it, started to set up. And I can't see the likes of Sam Wilson as Captain America as the leader of the Avengers because I don't feel like Anthony Mackie has been given or is capable of leading a franchise. That
now he is getting
that scale of a roster.
Yeah,
now,
he is getting Captain America 4.
Notice I said capable or being given.
Yeah.
Now, yes, he's getting his own Captain America movie, and they're delving back into their archive of bringing back Tim Blake Nelson as the thinker, the brainer, the big fat headed yoke. So like they're even delving back into previous characters and bringing them back. So like they're doing what fans sort of like to see, but they keep expanding into these other 5-minute screen time worth of characters. From 2 characters from Falcon and Winter Soldier are going to be in Captain America 4. The guy Danny Ramos or whoever, no, that's not his name, but Ramirez, whatever, he's going to be the new Falcon. And the young black kid who is the nephew of the black
Isaiah Bradley,
he's going to be in that movie. So those are 2 characters of like limited screen time from Falcon and Winter Soldier that are going to be in New World Order. Okay, well, let's see, here we go. And it just feels like you just are really stretching your arms out so far and not moving forward.
There's a lot of like street level stuff, like small bean stuff, that when you put them in the bigger movies, they just don't seem like they will.
Yeah, bigger ensemble.
Stand. Like as much as I love Daredevil, I can't see him in these bigger movies because it's like anyone comes with a big with superpowers and he's fucked.
I think you just need to do it right. And look, Joss Whedon did it right, and the DeRusso brothers did it very right. Yeah, but there's just no concrete direction.
But I think it's still early days in terms of like the way we were with the Infinity Saga.
Yes,
we're essentially at the beginning. If we looked at it, if we compared it 1 to 1, we're at the beginning of phase 2. Which is still very early days. I think people want the big stuff now.
But we're doing a lot of complaining rather than a lot of praising.
Yeah, no.
And I don't know if that has to do with the lack of the direction of what we're thriving for or striving for, or the lack of a leader, whether that's an actor or a character. Robert Downey Jr. actor, Steve Rogers as Captain America character. See what I mean? It's like there's none of that leadership, and some of it is just a bit of a joke, and I think it's just too cluttered now. Yeah. It's too much clutter, and
I think I'd like them to focus it down, like we're saying,
Yeah.
narrow it down a little bit, but then also change up the way the movies are and maybe have a few genre movies in there.
I don't think they'll commit to that.
No?
I think they're just gonna. I think here's my anticipation or my expectation or my guess. We're just gonna have to break through this phase of bypassing these movies, right? And I think if we are going to see a step up in elevation of MCU glory, I think that will be in and around of I think Deadpool 3, but not for the right reasons. Because we're looking at Deadpool 3 as Deadpool and Wolverine. I heard that Owen Wilson is Mobius from Loki might make an appearance in that. Now, I just want to throw that out there. But when I think of Blade, all I think is drama because they had to rejig their director and script and like, where's Blade gonna fit into this, you know?
But I think Blade could fit in nicely with like that it's a supernatural film. In the same way that, like, say Captain America the Winter Soldier is like a spy thriller.
Yeah.
I think that's a great spy thriller.
Yeah, yeah.
And I actually quite enjoyed Werewolf by Night as well. So I think that if you were to focus in and like make movies of a certain genre.
Good movies.
Yeah, just make stop painting by numbers and like going safe. Like we were saying in our Ant-Man review, kill Ant-Man. That would have been a great, like, whoa, hold on a minute, like, take a risk.
Do you think, actually, if they did what we had thought or were provided the information leading us to believe the things they would do in Ant-Man, such as establishing Kang as a menacing foe, as a lead villain in his first movie, killing Ant-Man and having dire consequences, and completing an arc of Ant-Man, yeah, they can bring him back in another multiverse movie. But that's a different Ant-Man. If they did that, I don't think we'd be talking about this right now. I really do think fans would be sort of reeling in a little of, they killed Ant-Man. But no, Ant-Man's pretty much the same the way he started. So, okay, oh well. And I'm not going to condone anyone on the hate train of Taika Waititi for what he's done to Thor. I'm sorry. Taika Waititi's a great director and filmmaker. You don't like what he's done with Thor, okay, fine, fair enough. Don't hate on the guy. I'd rather see another Taika Waititi Thor movie than Alan Taylor director Thor movie who directed Thor 2. But now, to be fair, I would like to see a Kenneth Branagh movie Thor again. But that's aside. I didn't like Ryan Coogler deciding or Kevin Feige deciding Shuri to be Black Panther, but I still want Ryan Coogler to probably direct Avengers Secret Wars, or maybe Russo Bros. We'll see. I think what the MCU needs now more than ever is good movies.
Yeah, I think I think quality over quantity.
Yes.
I think maybe that's what we're spending all this time
We
trying to say.
We spoke how long now to establish in like 3 words what we want, what we need.
We want quality over quantity.
Yeah, like I don't care about Echo. I don't, in hindsight, don't care about She-Hulk, and I think Moon Knight would have benefited as a movie as opposed to a show. And well, yeah. So I think we'll know. We can reflect back on this episode and think what is the reception of Guardians of the Galaxy and what's that looking like, and then eventually the Marvels and see how that goes. But like, I've got this awful feeling the Marvels is just going to be quite mediocre. I don't know. Now, it was the director of the Candyman movie, so please God. And
that was good. I enjoyed Candyman.
Yeah. So please God, and I suppose I think in this discussion we've established as fans that we are still hopeful for the MCU. We just want quality over quantity. We don't want mediocre. We don't want what is the same. We just want it to be simplified. And because of the state of this MCU is in, I'm looking at DC and thinking a lot of promise there. Mess aside, because they still have a few movies to get past before the James Gunn era. So yeah, Shane, I hope that answers your question in detail.
Yeah, we appreciate you sending in the question. If you'd like us to discuss any topics that you're interested in, whether it be about movies or TV shows or anything of the like. You can send your questions in via email to talkingpicturespodcast1@gmail.com, or just leave us a comment on Talking Pictures Pod. Post every Wednesday, so make sure to like and subscribe on your preferred podcast app of choice. If you could afford to give us 5 stars, we'd really appreciate it. Brian, any closing words?
Any closing words? To you fans out there right now listening, who do you think's going to die in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
Send us in your predictions for that, and we'll discuss it when it releases in May.
See you in May, folks.
See you in May. Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, David.